domination when it comes to me on the field. That's dominating who's in front of me. So I try to put it in my mind like it's disrespectful for you even to lace up your cleats and come out here and play against me.
Here come the Irish. What a run! Touchdown! Play of the year for the Irish.
Welcome to the ND on NBC Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Robinson. Today we're talking to Rico Flores Jr. Get a game high, well, essentially a season-long reception for 60 yards. He has 72 receiving yards on the game. We're going to get into that, talk about his journey, because it's amazing to hear him talk about the technique. When I was a freshman, I was definitely not that not that smart or mature. But this game, look, Notre Dame beat Pitt 58-7. It was dominant. There were some. I personally was a little nervous at the end there, and I know my colleague Douglas Farr is probably rolling his eyes right now. But I get nervous about little things. I know we won by 50 points or whatever, but I think penalties in the second half. You're up by 40. So just a little attention to detail, but I love how this team continues to take care of business and move on because we got a huge one coming up this weekend. But without further ado, let me introduce you to Rico. He's a very interesting guy, and I asked him who he studied, and his answer might surprise you. Without any further ado, here's Rico Flores. Now it's my pleasure to welcome in Rico. Rico, first of all, welcome to the pod. You know, I wanted to ask you a question about the beginnings of your love for the game because I always find it, I'm interested in origin stories. I'm a big superhero kind of guy. So tell me, man, when was the first time you fell in love with football?
Well, I started playing football when I was about 4, turning 5, because my birthday's at the end of the year, December 30th. And so I'll say right away, I remember one of my cousins, one of my older cousins, it was just me and him. He was watching me when I was little, and I still remember this day. I had just a football in my room, and I never really touched it like that. And then he just said, "You want to play catch?" And then so we was just throwing the ball, and he was teaching me how to hold the ball, hold my fingers on the laces, things like that. And ever since then, I just fell in love with it.
You fell in love with that specific position? Like, I just want to catch footballs, or just, when did you know, man, I'm a receiver?
So look, I actually started playing running back. That was my first position. I played running back. And then I played a little bit of quarterback too. And in Pop Warner, you're not really throwing the ball like that. So a receiver wasn't really my thing until I was about, I'll say fourth grade. Fourth grade, that's when I started playing receiver. Because when I was quarterback, so I went from running back to receiver. And so when I turned into a quarterback, I didn't have receivers to catch the ball until later, probably my last year playing quarterback. And so I really was just like Mike Vick out there running with it and bootlegs, 18 bootlegs, 19 bootlegs, and things like that. So I was just I like running down the field with the ball and scoring touchdowns. So then I think I just started watching YouTube and stuff like that, watching receivers. And then I was like, okay, that looks cool. Seeing them break them at the line or just running past somebody and catching the ball and you're scoring the touchdowns. So I was like, I want to play receiver. And then I started playing receiver, started training at it. And then the rest is history.
Who did you watch on YouTube?
When I was young, Jerry Rice, for sure. Jerry Rice, Randy Moss.
Yeah. You went straight to the legends? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What did you learn from Jerry and what did you learn from Randy? Because those two guys I studied a great deal as well.
So Jerry Rice, he's not the fastest, but he's going to kill you with technique. His technique is crazy. His route running and the ability to catch the ball and make space, create space is just insane. So just that aspect of his. And then Randy Moss is just a ball player. He's going to go and get it. He's running past you. He's catching it one hand. He's a little bit more flashy, a little bit. More than Jerry Rice is, and he's just a dog. So it was just them two. And then nowadays I watch Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams for sure, and Jay Chase, Jay Jettis here and there. But I'll say Devontae Adams, Jay Chase, and Stephon.
It's interesting you say this because, when I watch you, one thing that really jumps out is yards after the catch. And, Jerry Rice was the greatest at yards after the catch, right? So what did that do to your game? When did you start really focusing on that part of your game?
Really young. If you watch my high school tape, you'll see it in my high school tape as well. It's just like my coaches always preached on don't get tackled like right away. Like you could catch the ball for 10, but you could turn it into 30. Or you catch the ball for 10 and go push it for 15. Like just from you being a little bit bigger receiver, it's going to be harder to tackle you down. And then I also played running back when I was little, so I still got a little bit of that game, not going down right away. So
yeah, it's like when I think about it, once again, this is like a philosophical question. So if I bore you, just tell me shut up. But when I think about football, it's like handoffs basically anywhere in the field. And when I see you play, I'm like, okay, well, same thing with like Jerry Rice. You give the guy a slant, he's like just catching the ball and running that 3 yards down the field, right? Or you can get him a go route, catching the ball, running 30 yards down the field. When you're in the open field, what's going through your mind? Because Jerry was saying, I feel like my hair's on fire. Everyone's chasing me, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking about?
Well, I know I'm not the fastest like Tyreek Hill speed. So my thing is I gotta run like somebody chasing me as well. I act like a dog is chasing me. And that's what keeps me going. I act like a little pit bull, not even a pit bull chasing me, a canine chasing me, and just trying to run, pick my knees up, and try to focus on a little bit of technique too. Knees, put arm action, your foot up, elevated, the dorsiflex. So I just try to keep that and just run as fast as I can.
It's interesting, Rico, because a lot of freshmen aren't so fixated on technique. If I'm talking, I'm just being honest with you, right? A lot of guys more like I'm relying on my ability at early on, and then they learn technique later. Who taught you to focus on the fundamentals and technique so early? That's very mature.
I'll say my trainer and also godfather, Lemuel Adams, over at Game Fit in Sacramento, California. I've been training there since I was about first, second grade. I was very young, and I started training with him. So he got me. I was a quarterback when I was with him, but we ended up making that transition to receiver later on. And then ever since then, it was just the details. It's always been the details, though, like from the first day. I remember my first training session ever. Like, my mom brought me in, and I had some shorts on, some Jordans on, because it was like a gym. And he broke me off because it was just the detail. So he had me doing a whole bunch of things over and over and over. I only lasted about like 20 minutes. And the session's an hour. Only lasted 20 minutes. It was crazy.
Wow, yeah. I mean, when I hear the guys that you watch, obviously like a Devontae Adams, you're talking about technique off the line. Like, he basically changed the release in the modern era. So when you think about training, especially in discipline with the receiver position, what comes to mind? What does that word discipline mean to you?
You just got to understand what's going on around you, and you can't just focus about you. I feel like now when you get to higher levels of the game of playing receivers, you got to know ins and outs of everything going around you. You got to know, and even if you know pre-snap, it could change post-snap. So you got to understand that everything's flying, but you got to make sure you could just take your breath and see everything slow. And that's what helps me. You got to see things slow. So once you understand things are going slow and you start seeing it slow, you go, okay, I'm really understanding the ins and outs of this game.
One person that just talking to you comes to mind is Tom Gatewood, a legendary Notre Dame receiver who was phenomenal after the catch. And every single time, one of the things he would do is he would hit people and spin, and continue plays for him. Have you ever just gone through the old tapes of the Notre Dame legends? Like, what was your recruiting process like? Did you sit there and go watch Joe Montana and Tom and Tim Brown and all that stuff?
I haven't. I watched Tim Brown a little bit though. I would say that, but that was in the NFL. I didn't really watch college football, believe it or not, until about 2 years ago. I was always like watch NFL. I used to watch NFL, and that was the only thing. But now that I got into college, it's like all I want. Or actually, my senior year. Once I got into my senior year, it's like, and I want to watch college players like play because I feel like I don't know. I feel like college is a little bit more. I don't know how to say it. It's more like grimy. So like you gotta understand like a DB's allowed to put their hands on you. Like in the NFL, I mean they can put their hands on them, but it's a lot of the corners play softer technique. So it's like watching the college football, I'm seeing people, okay, this is a super handsy corner. I want to see what this receiver's gonna do against him. So I could probably use that against my package too, put that in my bag. So that's when I started like watching college football. Was really senior year. I put more effort into watching like the details, the smaller details of receivers in the game.
Yeah, it's a different game completely. You know, I could talk football with you all day, but I want to move on a little bit because in this podcast we always like to highlight the human side, of all the players we watch on Saturday. So tell me, I know you've been declared a major, you're a freshman. What exactly do you want to study? What are you interested in?
So I did come in here doing soc. I wanted to be a soc major.
Sociology, yeah.
Yeah, sociology major. But now, like getting my feet wet and stuff like that, I found out that I want to do what's it called, FTT, and focus
Oh,
on television. Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Fantastic. So what was the change? Because there's always that moment you come in thinking, I mean, I remember everyone's like, I'm gonna be a finance major. You take that first finance class, you're like, no, I'm going
Really,
somewhere else.
really, to be honest, it was like hearing everybody talk about sociology. Like I'd ask questions, and it's like the real of it is that you can't do a lot with that's just social major. Like you have to get a PhD in it, or like to really do something with that major. So I'm like, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to get the doctorate in sociology. So I was like, FTT fits me more, and I like being on like broadcast or like having my face on television. I feel like I'm a good talker, and I could. I mean, shoot, I feel like I got the face for it. So
Oh my
that was my look at it.
That's fantastic. So give me an idea. Have you always been a performer? Have you always
Um,
liked performing on stage, doing theater stuff or whatever?
Not really, but I was never like close to it. So I feel like that was a good thing for me. Like I'm I like to do things. I like to step out my comfort zone here and there, like just to explore the world, because I know that life has a lot of aspects to it, and it's only going to happen if you let yourself do it. So like I took choir my freshman year, and we had
Oh,
performances on the stage and stuff like that. So we were singing in front of people. I was a bass, but like we were singing and things like that. So I'm not new to the stage.
Have
And
you
then
have you done
obviously playing football.
yeah, do you still sing? Or, there's a great a cappella group on campus. It's legendary.
Uh, I don't really sing like that. I be singing like Ride Wave on my own, but in the
Yeah,
shower or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
But I don't sing no more.
Cool, cool. So yeah, so also tell me a little bit more about the campus life. What are some of your favorite traditions that you've embraced since your time on Notre Dame's campus?
I'll say number one would be obviously the walk on Saturdays. I love the walk. I feel like it's different when you're doing it with the team and you seen everybody
Yeah.
got the trumpets. You walk through that, and just I don't know. That's just number one. And then number two would probably be like going to the grotto and lighting a candle, praying. So those are my top two for sure.
There's something that you have said several times in the past couple of days, and I always, like I said, I don't always want to grab back old quotes. I know how that goes, but this one's interesting. You keep saying, the goal here is I'm very goal oriented. I want to play to my full potential. I want the team to play to its full potential, and I've been hearing that kind of language recently, not just from you, from everyone on the team. What does that mean? Like, what is that secret sauce that we keep hearing that's going on in this locker room? What does that mean to, what is the full potential of this Notre Dame team in your opinion?
Well, Marcus Freeman, he says it's either this or this, and so that's either a plus or a minus, and we want to get pluses every time. So if you win your interval, the 5-second interval, which is like the average time for a play, I mean, against some teams it might be more, sometimes it might be less, but winning your play and doing your assignments, everybody does their assignment and everybody gets a plus across the board. That's playing to your full potential. And then so when we say we want to reach our full potential, we want to do every single play, doing ins and outs of that single play, and making sure our assignments are 100%. Like there's nothing that we left on the table. We want to clean the plate. Like we want to clean it and not leave no scraps for anybody that takes them.
There's another idea that like when I think about the great receivers going back, like even like a guy who's obsessed with discipline and dominance like Michael Irvin, it's always this idea of domination, right? When you're out there, how do you approach that word, like dominate? What does that mean? Because everyone has like a different idea. The D tackles, everyone, like, how do you define that word? I'm going to dominate at my position.
I feel like domination when it comes to me on the field, that's dominating who's in front of me. So I try to put it in my mind like it's disrespectful for you even to lace up your cleats and come out here and play against me. Like you be coming out here playing one-on-one or man-on-man or just playing in front of my face. Like, I feel like that's disrespectful. Like you should have even laced up your cleats to come play against me because you obviously are brave enough to come out here. So I'm gonna show you what's up, and that's how I try to look at it.
Just leave the pads in the locker room. Never should have come out.
Yeah, that's exactly how I picture it, and I feel like it helps. So when you have that mindset, it's going to match everything else because it starts off with your mindset.
Absolutely, especially in that position. So let's do a quick rapid fire. Only a couple questions to wrap up. We got a minute left. So you ready? Let's just jump right in. Best Halloween costume. It's a special day, Halloween. Best Halloween costume you ever did?
Ooh, probably the Scream with the blood. Like there's this pump and you could do the blood like circling around the face. Probably that one, the Scream one.
What's on the pregame playlist, music-wise?
Lil Bean, Rod Wave, D-Steez, Briz. What else? That's off the top of my, Lil Rome. That's probably about it. Off the top of my head.
What's the first sporting event you ever attended?
Football.
Do you remember like what it was, the NFL or something?
No, it was a high school game. Okay. And they were big when I was little. I was like, dang, like they're out there running heck of fast and they're so big, tackling, stuff like that. So it made me want to go play high school too.
And the last question is, what was your first impression of Notre Dame when you visited?
Beautiful. That's the best way to describe it. Just beautiful and just took my breath away. I fell in love with Notre Dame right away.
Well, Rico, it's a pleasure talking to you. I'm so excited to hear how you geek out about technique. I love that. So I can't wait to watch you and cheer you on this weekend, man. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rico. I'm telling you, it is so much fun for me to talk technique with the young receiver. It's just, I can't tell you how rare that is for someone to be watching Jerry Rice. I mean, like, it's amazing. I love that. So this week is big time. Clemson, Death Valley. I know Clemson, you're looking at their record thinking, is this team done? Like, what's happening in the modern era? What's going on with that team? Look, it's Clemson. Playing at Death Valley is ridiculous. This is one of those games, you look at the record, you're gonna have to throw it out, because when I played there back in 2015, I mean, it was like a tropical storm or something. It was unbelievable. It was raining sideways, but the environment itself, I will never forget that bus ride passing through like the campus to go to the stadium. It was one of the most electrifying bus rides into a stadium I've ever had, up there with Florida State or Michigan at the Big House. It is absolutely electrifying, and it could definitely change the chemistry a little bit of that equation of, hey, look, I know they're a middling team right now, but at the end of the day, this is Clemson, and you don't want to sleep on them on the road. That's just a bad idea. It's very important to mention Mitchell Evans is out for the rest of the season. Now, this is tremendously important to see how this offense responds given this scenario, this backdrop I just painted for you, and finishing out the rest of the season. Who will they turn to? Perhaps Rico, the man we just interviewed? We shall see. Either way, I can't wait. After this, when we come back next week, we'll recap this game, and then we'll look at another bye week. It's pretty amazing. Before we finish out the rest of the season, I'm looking forward to seeing you very soon. Be sure to download and subscribe to the Notre Dame on NBC Podcast on the NBC Sports YouTube channel and wherever you get your audio podcasts. Go Irish.